All right. Greetings and welcome to Geek Speak episode number 25. That would be 25 in the books, so that's pretty sweet. Today's podcast will be just me. It's going to be a solo podcast, and we're just going to talk about a little bit of fun life things, family, friends, holidays, stuff like that, and a little bit of flesh and blood sprinkled in here throughout. But it's the holiday season. We just Black Friday was just a little bit in our rearview mirror there. Some decent sales happened all over the place. Depends on if you were trying to go out and look for a bunch of stuff. There's been some kind of random announcements here and there in the Flesh and Blood ecosystem. Other card games are doing their things. We did get some new hero reveals, but we're just going to kind of take it nice and easy and go over some of that stuff. So. First and foremost, I don't know if the video on this is going to actually show. I think just because I've been feeling a tad crummy, I know that we were around a bunch of different people throughout the holiday, and that's great, but sometimes you get a little sick. And I think what I'll do is I'll probably make this one an audio-only podcast with just some logos up on the screen. So this way, I can still get this out and you can enjoy it, but I don't necessarily have to show my icky self off. So hopefully my future icky self will feel a little bit better, but until then, that's where we're going to be. So let's go ahead and let's dive right into a couple things. So there's some pretty interesting stuff that's kind of happened. We got the main hero reveals from, I guess, the brand new set, the Hunted. So that's pretty exciting. I know we talked about the December Armory kit with the Cracker Bauble and the myriad of different tokens, as well as the Spirit of Christmas, and kind of in line with that, it appears that I saw on the Twitter sphere of posting there, it looks like there were a couple of content creator kits sent out. There was these promos. It looks like it's called a scarf for a scarf. So that was kind of a cute little punny play on words. So it's a 0 for 4, and you exchange a headpiece with your opponent. So that's pretty. It's a UPF. It's definitely a UPF card. That is pretty sweet. It's a red pitch. So you're gonna have to maybe get yourself a copy of one of those and hold on to it so that you'd be able to throw that into some UPF goodness. Jarl just released at the tail end of the month, so that just came out. So look for the Jarl Vitradi deck. I'm going to try to get one of those for my LGS if possible. I need to actually go figure out which of my LGS even have it. That is kind of a conversation in and of itself. Hopefully they do. I understand, and I'm gonna pause here and preface that not everyone is in the same scenario. Some stores have lots of these on shelves, but some stores didn't get any, and other stores are still having a hard time trying to source them. It all depends on the armory numbers, and I understand that is part of the game. So just bear that in mind when I speak of this, is that, I say I'm going to try to find one. I'd rather get it from an LGS. I have seen some posts about LGS scalping these at a pretty exorbitant cost. I don't know why, but the TCG player prices on these are pretty insane. I would definitely not buy from TCG player on this, if at all possible, because it looks like, as of today, they're verified selling at about 62, but people, if you look at the more data, people were paying $70 like just a day or two ago on these. I don't understand it. I mean, $60 is the MSRP. It is higher. So 70, a little bit higher. Don't fault that. But I would say you probably can find somebody who has it for $60. So the good news is they're not like insane, but there were some photos floating around, like some of these folks that I can see clearly. I will not name them, but has it for $90, has 4 of them. Has it for $80, has 3 of them. Has it for $85, has 4 of them. Right? This person here, don't know why, says they're a brick and mortar, has it for $158 for a single one of them. Just don't buy that one. Now, this person here has 12 of them for $90. So, just, I wouldn't say wait on them. Here's what's weird, right? If you look at some of the older ones, like there's a KO Armory deck, and apparently the KO Armory deck is now $90 for one of those. And that's one of the ones I keep sealed in the back, right? That was the very first one. I think there's going to be maybe a long-term collectability to that because it was the first of. And looking at these, there's only 5, 6, 8 of them listed on TCG Player, which is not the end of the world, right? There's other markets, there's Card Market, there's other stores, there's none of that. But yeah, $99 to $110 is just a little interesting for that specific deck. But again, right now, there are exclusive cards in each of these decks. So if you do not pick them up, theoretically, if you want to play that hero or that class, then in the long run, if they don't reprint those, maybe that's the only way to get them. Again, that's just kind of a weird kind of speculation thing on that. But yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm excited to see that these are here. Sounds like they're going to keep coming from the sound of the variety of different kind of podcasts that those have been discussed in. Flesh and Pod just got done doing a podcast with Brian Gottlieb, and they talked about a myriad of different things. And that was a pretty exciting one, so go listen to that. Another kind of interesting component is, like I said, there's kind of been, I don't want to say a lull in news. It depends on if you're in the kind of competitive scene. There are some events going on, but one of the bigger ones obviously was the reveal of the two heroes and the hero abilities. And to make sure I do this correctly, I'm going to pull up my Discord here, which has a spoiler thread. So I guess I haven't really touted my Discord too much before, but I do have a Geeks First Discord. There's really not a lot of folks in there, and that's fine. There is a lot of Discords, and I will be the first to admit that there are way too many Discords and not enough time to communicate in all of these Discords, which does result in kind of a overflow of information at times. So, like the main Discord, definitely probably worth picking up. But if you do want to join my Discord, absolutely fantastic. I would appreciate it. Every like, share, subscribe, comment, things like that, helps me kind of build this momentum and go forward. I mean, I was just looking at something, and I guess since I'm on a solo podcast, I can go down this path. I started content creation back in 2016, but I didn't really do anything specific. But in regards to Flesh and Blood, my first video was January 5th, 2022. So in January 5th of 2025, that'll be 3 years of me creating content. So we are vastly approaching. So my I think like 3 more episodes, 2 more episodes, because I don't know if I'm going to do one over Christmas. That's going to be a very hectic time. I'll probably do one just like this, a solo cast where I can talk to myself. But again, scheduling people around the holidays, I want them to spend time with their family and friends. Don't take too much time out of your life to do these little podcasts unless it's something you really enjoy. But here I am, and we are talking about Syndra Drakai of Retribution will be the next thing we're talking about. But yeah, 3 years, man. I know I didn't realize it had been that long, but when I looked at a hard drive and I had 8 terabytes of footage on this thing, and most of it was the completed stuff, and I have a pile of like a bunch of old footage, which someday will be kind of neat, right? It's all the boxes and stuff we opened. I recorded almost all of them, and they're there. It just means that I have to edit and put those out and see how to make them kind of nice. But yeah, they're like little snapshots in time, especially of some of the early stuff. So Fab 2.0 changed a lot of that, though. I mean, there's a lot more spice in the new sets, and we talked about that in our last podcast too, where the 2.0 metric, kind of raised the bar and changed over the, I don't want to say bland, first, 1.0 stuff, but I mean, really, you don't have Marvels in 1.0. You don't have, I guess, as spiky Majestics. So the value shift has changed a lot, and you can get some pretty cool stuff in boxes. So extended arts also. I mean, there was kind of extended arts. I mean, you can go Starvo, some of that stuff. The EA Lantern. Those you could almost argue that Everfest was really kind of the beginning prototype test theory for a lot of that. But yeah, anyways, since this is not a video version, because I've pretty much assumed that I'm not going to put that out there, this is Syndra Drakai of Retribution. It says whenever you hit a marked hero, create a fealty token. Once per turn, for 3 resources, equip up to 2 Draconic Daggers from your graveyard. This costs 1 resource less to activate for each Draconic chain link you control. 4 intellect, 40 health, Royal Draconic Ninja Hero. So, really interesting, because we have Royal as a talent, Draconic as a talent, Ninja as a class. So we have 2 classes, 1 class, 2 talents on this hero. The other one that got revealed is Fang Drakai of Blades. which is a 4 intellect, 40 health Royal Draconic Warrior, 2 talents, 1 class. Whenever you hit a marked hero, marked is keyword here, in black, bold, create a fealty token. If you create 3 or more fealty tokens, dagger attacks cost 1 resource less to activate. Now, some fun things about this that kind of just came out of the blue here is if you go to like Fabrary as an example and you look up daggers, there currently are not a large selection of daggers available. I mean, there really are no generic daggers, right? But there are Quicksilver daggers, a warrior one-handed, which would work with this hero. You have assassin daggers. You have a ninja harmonized Kadachi, which is a dagger, not a sword or a blade. I did not actually realize it was a dagger, and I don't know why I always thought it was a sword or a sword or a samurai sword. I for some reason did not recognize that harmonized Kadachi was a dagger, even though I should have known that. I don't know why. But these other ones are mostly assassin, right? Assassin has quite a bit. Zephyr Needle is a ninja one, but outside of that, there are no generics available. That said, the hero talent from the Hunted is going to be Draconic. That means that there's probably going to be, on some level, probably Draconic daggers. At least I would assume so, because otherwise there's not going to be very many options available, especially when you start looking at the Syndra thing where you're going to be kind of like throwing these daggers and then we're bringing them back. So like Flick Knives, as somebody said, I mean, that card's probably spiked up quite a bit in price, but that, recursion factor is kind of neat, right? That is definitely on the higher spectrum of cards that I think if you didn't own one, it's probably a little late now, but that would be one of those cards I would be picking up. Flick Knives is just an interesting card. I mean, good news is it looks like it's back down to about $60. I say back down, but I mean, this was $15 2 months ago. So, or you know what? I'm sorry. It was like, $15 2 months ago, $30 right before they announced it on November 22nd. And then it just exploded. It went kaboom. But for the ability of being a assassin and ninja, which are basically 2 classes within the set of the Hunted, because we know there is an assassin, which is the Arachne or Chaos Arachne, or Arachne Slip Through the Cracks, which has that Chaos talent. We don't know much about that Chaos talent just yet. Got a lot of fun speculation on that. This Flick Knives is because it's a once per turn attack reaction. So I've attacked, and then target dagger you control that's on the active chain link deals 1 damage to target, so it's guaranteed damage. If the damage is dealt, not guaranteed. Is it guaranteed damage? See, this is where I need a judge. Judge, don't have one of those right here. But if it hits, damage this way, dealt this way by the dagger, destroy that dagger. So there might be some ability to like do some shenanigans with this, and I can see that people have also had the same speculation. So yeah, pretty neat card, but obviously that's from outsiders, a little bit of an older set at this point, but nonetheless still a solid card. The Hunted, which does look like will be coming out as the first quarter of next year. I think the official date has been announced for that. I talked about it in another video. I cannot recall if I know that date off the top of my head. Probably not, because that is the nature of having way too much stuff floating around up in the head. So preview season January 14th through the 17th, world premiere on the 17th, Calling Prague January 18th through 19th. So the actual release date is the end of January. I am excited that there's going to be the Blitz collection. There is still the 4th hero. We don't know what that 4th hero is going to be. Now, somewhere, somebody posted a photo, and that photo shows kind of like a hero that we don't quite yet know who it is, or it's like a playmat, and I don't know if it's a fake thing. I really don't want to go into too much speculation on it, but like, if Chaos, if you look at other sets in the set design space, so if we take our design hat on, you have a Royal Draconic, you have a Royal Draconic, and then the Chaos Arachne is a Chaos Assassin. So could there be another Chaos something in this set? Now, we don't think it's going to be a whole additional class because it only talked about the 3 classes: Assassin, Ninja, and Warrior. But there were 4 reveals. So could there be like a Chaos Warrior or Chaos, I don't know, Chaos Ninja? I mean, they already have Chaos Assassin, but I feel like it would be a Chaos Warrior, maybe, or maybe it's just another Arachne. But maybe there's a generic Chaos. I don't know. There's got to be a way to balance it for drafting, right? Because if you think of in the pack, if you have a certain layout of cards, you got to have some that go to different classes and make it somewhat uniform. But who knows? Looking at the other cards, right? You got Draconic Ninja, Draconic Warrior. Nothing in here stated anything about the Chaos. The only Chaos thing is really the playmat and the card that says Arachne slip through the cracks with the lead speak kind of a thing. So yeah, and it does have the extended hero art box on it, so that's pretty cool. It also has a bunch of masks that kind of go backwards, boop, 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 and one of them looks like it's that mask that is the Mask of Perditions from Dynasty, if I recall, is when that came out. So the Mask of Perditions is a little bit of an older card. I was just looking at that, actually. I think, is that located in here? Mask. Yeah, Mask of Perdition. It's the single horn. I mean, there's a cold foil version of it already out there. If you have that, I'm sure that's pretty expensive. I'm almost positive that card has shot up in price. So, yeah. So that's enough of the hunted stuff. Other fab stuff. I think I'm going to go into some of the livelihood stuff and kind of talk about kind of what's been going on with me. We got a D&D group that happens once a week, once every Monday, and the last session of the year was just the other day, and basically they take the month of December off, so we're not going to have anything in the month of December. And we'll be resuming sometime in probably mid to late January will be when that is. So it gives me an extra day back. But that D&D group is pretty exciting and fun for a lot of reasons. I get to kind of role play a little bit, and I'm not good at that. I'm very tactically, I like the board game kind of thing and the card games and the different tabletop miniatures games. So D&D was a little bit of a different world because you could approach it from like a role play perspective, or you could approach it from a variety of different aspects, or kind of combine those. So I was never really good at RP, but I was really good at the tactical sense. Well, anyways, we had a battle, and my character is a rogue swashbuckler, or I guess it is assassin swashbuckler, rogue swashbuckler. It's kind of morphed, and I made this little contraption. The DM let me have it last time, which is kind of like these wings that get to attach to my character's back. And what I did was I was on this tower, and I was shooting it with a crossbow, this giant like ash beast kind of a thing. And essentially I said, screw it. I want to go down and attack it with my rapier. So I rip the cord on this thing. I try to jump off, and apparently I roll really low. So the DM says I stumble, I fall, and I have I think it's called inspiration. So I use my inspiration to re-roll that dice, and I get good enough to where I jump off, and then I leap down and I attack it with my dagger. I attack it with my sword. I get sneak attack. I'm doing a shit ton of damage to this thing, and I'm having a blast. And I lay down, I drop to the ground or whatever, and then this thing, now apparently it's his turn, and focuses all of its attention on me. And then it decides that because it's focusing all its attention on me, that I'm public enemy number 1, and it smacks me. It just straight up lays me down, and apparently does so much damage that I'm like down to low single digit HP at this point. So it's gone from full HP to low single digit HP. And I guess I have to take like a traumatic injury based on my understanding. And then we rolled something. I failed a next roll, which is like a maybe I forget what it was, but it's a Constitution save, I think is what it was. I failed that. And because I failed that Constitution save, instead of me just being hurt really bad, I guess it went to the grievous wound category. And this damn thing chopped off my leg. Like, my character is now a one-legged person. I have a single leg. I do not has two legs. I has one leg. And that was where he left the suspense, right? So then the next session, basically, when we come back, is going to be, I have to figure out exactly what'll happen to my character, how it'll work out, whether I'm going to be a one-legged wooden pirate thingy or whatever. Yeah, this will be interesting. I mean, typically, I think that's kind of a death of a class of a character, but yeah. So fast forward to the next week, we came back, and that was the last session we had. And that session reveals to me that they wrap up the battle. We carry stuff in. I go into the inside of this place, and they lay me down, and they're worshiping my leg because they saw me as an angel of death flying from this high area with these little mechanical contraptions as a glider to come down and destroy this ash beast. So now I'm being worshipped by the town for whatever reason. I think that's kind of hilarious, but sure. And of course they have my leg, and I'm yelling at my party, get my leg, because I want to try to figure out a way to attach this dang thing. So essentially they have to, one of the other classes, Venena, or I think she's what is that called? A Dragonborn? Anyway, she's Cleric Dragonborn. She has something that she like pickles my leg and keeps it in a bag of holding so it doesn't rot or decay. And then the guy in this town, I guess, comes out and offers me his hand-me-down leg post or something that the town has demanded to get. So I ended up with this like shiny golden leg, and basically I have like this attached golden leg peg thing now. There's a lot more to this whole. I'm leaving out a lot of details in this, but basically I gifted this leg thing. It has some runes on it. I don't know what they mean, so I asked my party to figure it out. I plug the thing on my leg. It like sears to me, and essentially I can now walk again. I have to learn how to do that a little bit. But I used to have double speed. Like I was, instead of a 30, I was a 60 movement. And now I'm down back to regular because I lost my good leg, apparently. But I guess this leg had some special arcanic ability to allow me to move through rough terrain unhindered. So that was kind of an interesting concept. I did not think that I was going to come out of that as unscathed as I did. So I think the DM gave me a little bit of a nice wish-wash there to kind of reset my character back to more of a standard-ish character, because I think having double movement was a little bit unfair, because I was like doing some crazy like running around the board, like going up stabbing something, run over here stabbing something, going over here stabbing something. I was like, oh my gosh. So that was exciting. But yeah, that was kind of a little bit of that. More on the family and stuff. Thanksgiving was kind of an interesting endeavor. My sister, who has multiple children, brought them over, and we got to have Thanksgiving down at my parents, and my wife, better half, bless her heart, she was down there with me, my mom, my dad, I guess my sister, my brother-in-law, their 4 kids, my grandma, who's 95. There's a lot going on with my grandma at the moment, which, we're hoping that, things kind of work out there. But, again, you're 95. There's just, your body starts doing things, right? It's just age is time is your enemy, right? So people say that, there's a lot in life. You can work for money, you can work for, coin, you can do all stuff. But really, the more I'm getting older, I'm realizing that the one thing you can't replace is time, which is why I spent a lot of my last week on the hiatus of work. So I took an extra day off and had the Thursday, Friday, and the weekend. So I had like a 5-day break, and I spent a majority of that 5 days with my family. I did the thing that I felt I needed to do, which is why this is a little bit late. It's why this is going to come out on probably a Tuesday, probably late afternoon. I got to still edit and render and do all this while I'm working my day job to do that. So this is probably going to be rendered during my lunch. I'm going to go over and try to slap this thing in and do something with it. But it's there's a lot of things to consider. I mean, you see all the internet people out there talking about all these different, get rich quick and do all these other things. And I see it now with the big boom in Pokemon coming back up, right? Like nothing has changed. And I'm going to kind of point back to Rudy from Alpha Investments, and, they're love them, hate them, whatever. There's a lot of different things you can look at life for, but man, there's just certain things that if you just follow the rule, which is, let the time do its thing, right? Time time in anything, time in a market, time in crypto, time in the, not time and sell, but like time and keep something. If you have a S&P or whatever, and I'm not a stock person. I guess I have to say a disclaimer here that I'm not giving financial advice. I am not a financial person, but I see things that I bought years ago and they're doing good because I didn't do anything with them. I didn't panic, get rid of them. I didn't leave. I don't understand. It's people seem to be so short-minded or short-sighted, or they only want the right now. It's that the TikTok vibe, right? It's that I want it now. I can't wait. I have to have it right this absolute second. TikTok rot kind of a thing. I don't know. I don't understand it. There is no way to do things fast. I mean, I started sorting cards in my free time during the COVID pandemic, right? And I have a lot of cardboard, more than I will never in my life, in my entire lifetime, if I stopped right now, I would probably never be able to touch every single piece of cardboard I own. Like, legitimately, I have that much. And while it's good and bad, there's sections of time where I'm like, if I do this, I'm not doing that, or I have to pick to do this or that. And that's why, like I said, kind of circling back to the family piece, I circle back to pick time for my family during the holiday recently, which I know Christmas is coming up in another 2 or 3 weeks, so you'll have that. Again, more of a festive thing, but you can get so sucked in your own bubble, right? You can try to compare yourself to other people. I mean, I was having a pretty rough time of trying to compare myself, right? Like looking at my subscriber count, looking at YouTube analytics, looking at these other content creators, watching somebody just come out of the blue and blow past me by like leaps and bounds, and good for them. I mean, seriously, congrats to those people that are doing that. Like, you just got to take a step back and say, I can't be mad at them for that, right? They figured out something. They did it better than me. Now it's time for me to suck it up and find a way to improve, right? I gotta constantly reevaluate how to approach things, right? And some of it's with consistency too, right? You got to be consistent about it. And yeah, there's just a lot of different things you could look at, whether it's personal, whether it's life, whether it's cards, whether it's board games. I'm doing 3D printing again. I'm doing a lot of 3D printing for my D&D group, right? My dad, he part of the thing I got to do over the weekend, posted a photo in the Discord. So if you wanted to see that, or I think I posted it even on one of the X's or Beast guys or whatever, but he taught me wood pin turning or lathe pin turning. And that's been something that, he's been very passionate about. I've seen his products that he produces, and I was just very impressed with the quality. And then looking at, what I was able to do with him, there were some minor imperfections, but the thing is that was the first pen I made, and it's the pen that I made with my dad. So like, I'm going to cherish that for a very, very long time, right? Because it's not that it's something that's, inlaid with 24 karat gold, or it's a 1 of 1, or it's a serialized card or whatever. It's none of if you compare it to the trading card world as like an analogy, it is a 1 of 1. None other will ever be that one. And even as I look at all these wood blanks that I'm staring at, I got a bunch of products that I've kind of went pretty hard in this. I'm going to definitely do some stuff with that. I mean, yeah, no matter how you do, the wood grain's never going to be the same between them. So just each one of these is very unique, and it's kind of soothing to sit there and just kind of try to become one with that wood as you're turning it. So there's kind of something about disconnecting from the technology, and I'm a technophile. I love my technology. I love all these different random pieces of technology that are out there that like I get sucked into all the time. When there's new pieces of tech, I'm very excited for it. I mean, I have more computers, more cameras, more tech equipment than I could shake a fist at, because over the years I've tried a variety of different things. Some work better than others. Some which, granted, I'm staring at this Zoom H6, which is what I record the D&D games. I was doing videos of them for a while. Then I switched over to just doing an audio only because the terrain wasn't really visually appealing. So that's what we're fixing over the holiday breaks. Then over the next month, I'm going to print hundreds of hours of prints so that when we get back in January, we can kick off and have beautiful looking stuff so we can have some cool visuals. But the tech that you use can sometimes overwhelm you. I mean, my technical setup with this is insane. I've definitely had to diagnose my fair share of problems with it. I could just do something very simple like an OBS and a face cam record on a webcam. And probably sometimes that's best served to do something like that. But I've always liked to continue to learn. Like if I'm doing something, I need to get something out of it to myself. So while these YouTube videos hopefully give you something, and I really hope that some data in this or some thought-provoking nugget of my vocal, barf helps you in some way in your life. Like, I do these things because I want the challenge of getting better. I see the incremental improvements over time, right? I could spend a large quantity of time really working to improve my video editing skills, but I have to ask myself, is that the right time right now to continue to go down that path? I don't know, right? Like I could do other things that would yield better or longer term results, such as learning pen turning so I can make cool pens and bring them to the conventions that the wife is already attending, where we are making sales of her resin products that can then facilitate the assistance of the hobbies and the enjoyment and the paying off any debts that are owed and things like that to allow us to flourish and grow. When you start looking at all these different things you could do, everybody should have something that they do. I mean, you could sit and play a video game for 8 hours a day. And honestly, I did not play a lot of video games, but recently I kind of started trying to dedicate at least a little chunk of time once a week to taking the video game approach and trying to just let my brain release and go back to being just try and do a goal. Cyberpunk 2077 is a good example. I recently was able to beat that game. And the completion thing, this kind of goes back into the weird completion thing of my personal life. It's really hard to bring something to completion. I can always get it to like 90%. That's never a problem. It's that last 10% that I never seem to want to finish. Well, in the case of this Cyberpunk game, about 2 years ago or a year ago, I mean, it's been a long time, I got to like the point of the game where it's like, if you go past this point, you can't go backwards and you get to complete the game. You can't finish anything. Well, I was so hesitant to do that, I just stopped playing. Well, recently I picked the game back up and I played. It was only like 2 more hours, 2.5, maybe 3 hours max, where I had to go in and complete the final boss where you battle this kind of mechanical monster kind of a thing that's part of the storyline. And I mean, it was a human at one point, but essentially when you beat this person, the rest of the story is, I guess they call it just the epilogue, right? It's just like the coast down, the wrap ups, the everything else. And then it was just kind of like, wow, this is the end of the story. And then when you come back in, you get a couple items and it puts you right in front of that nocturne where the final mission is. And you just start right back there. And I'm like, wow, that's all it was. Like I could have done this a while ago and completed this, but I didn't. It was that drive to completion that I was missing. And I've noticed that even with video editing, right? I'm going to go back to my 8 terabytes or more. I have probably 100 terabytes of random crap. But like of that, a lot of it is footage of, we filmed the opening. Filming is the easiest part. I have tons of footage. Whether it's relevant for this channel and the direction I'd like to go anymore, I don't know, because I've kind of stopped the whole opening products online. I might just make a secondary channel, and if I want, release that stuff over there, because YouTube punishes you for not following the algorithm gods. And I feel like if I were to just start randomly barfing out a bunch of my old footage that has like cool card openings and like very interesting hits and case and analytics and analysis, I don't know if that's going to help my channel, because that's not really what I'm trying to do. But we did it because that's what we did for almost a year and a half, or a solid year minimum, maybe up to a year and a half, when we were doing the whole what do we need to do and COVID stuff and living inside and just kind of being in our own bubble. And I documented all that, all the trials and tribulations from where I'm sitting right now, where the podcast happens on, the other ones where I've had the other guests, and you see this backdrop that's kind of this washboard. This is technically the 4th studio in this house that I have designed. The first one was in our actual honest to God kitchen. It's where I proposed to my wife when she was opening a Pokemon pack. Actually, that video I've never released, but I have it filmed, right? I opened it up, or I should say, I set everything up. I had some people come over, didn't tell her what was happening, and that was the first backdrop with those like shelves and the where she was very much in the Pokemon. She had this whole mantra. It was called Poke Penguin was her thing, and I think to this day she still kind of uses that moniker from time to time. But now she uses her Lizard Breath Arts, handle, which is her, resin and dice casting stuff. Which those are, if you like custom dice, I'm gonna shout her out here. They are I have a high level of perfectionism. I was raised in a world where do it right, use the right tool for the right job, and do it right the first time if you can, and then strive to be the perfectionist where possible, but not to the nth degree. But to some extent, you kind of always have to do. But like this Flesh and Blood dice that she just made for me recently, which is a Everfest theme dice where it has the Admit One bottle cap on the inside and it has like the carnival theme on the bottom. Looking back at some of her original stuff, like way back in the day at some of her like original artwork and original dice, and then comparing that to what she's come to today with the coloration, the lining, the lack of imperfections, the variety, all within these myriad of measurable items that when people tend to look at other dice, they don't see them. It's that last 10% that separates you or makes you unique. And seeing that she's accomplished that kind of thing made me take a mental relook at myself. And that's why said to myself, I need to start becoming focused. I've had a business I started, and technically I guess I'll call it a failure. It was a lesson learned. It was the laser cutting and engraving business. I still have almost everything from that, right? Because there's nothing getting rid of the tools. The knowledge is there. I can always pick something up, design a new product, do something fun. But what happened was I jumped too quickly into a market I was unprepared for. And I caused myself a world of problems because in the grand scope of things, a good idea can only hit once. And I'm going to go back to the PvE conversation in Flesh and Blood. They have one chance to get that right. And I looked at my old business and I said, I had one chance to get this right. And sadly, I took that chance and we went to Origins and vended there. And it was a booming success according to all my metrics. The problem was somebody bought one of everything. Well, that somebody was a competitor. And they essentially reverse engineered a lot of the designs we had. And ever since then, that competitor has since been outed, laid to rest for other reasons, and I will not even name them. But if you're around and I'm drinking, I may at some point tell that story, but it's neither here nor there. But TLDR, you have one chance to get it right. And I realized that way too late, we did not get it right. So when I look at the next thing I'm trying to do, when I look at these, releasing of kind of the higher quality wood products, the premium, if you shall say, the 10% top, I'm going to start trying to design and create stuff to go for that, but also for the masses. Like I want to have something that's not like to have a dice, right? There are dice that are Chessex dice that look pretty good. They're like, let's say $5, $10 for a box. But like a resin cast, double cast dice, you could spend $60, $100, $200 on one of these dice and not even bat an eye because that's just what the artist requires for those. Looking at the pens that my dad has created, right? Looking around at the market research and data on those pens are, somebody's selling them as low as 30, somebody's selling them as high as 200. The average is like 60 to 80. And it really just depends, right? Because I've seen them at conventions with specialty things like, the bark off a Jurassic Park tree from Hawaii or, something from whatever other movie. They integrate those and embed them into the pens with a certificate of authenticity, stuff like that. You could spend several $100s on those because they're unique pieces of artwork in some regard. But I also want to create things that are functional and usable because I'm always a functional and usable person. I mean, this entire house is set up to be functional and usable more so than neat and tidy. I mean, just outside of camera view, I've shown this to some of the guests that I've had, but like to my right, 3D printers. To my left, cards and card storage, right? Like this is that cone of view that is just perfectly set up to do stuff. The work computer or the, I guess, work slash editing battle station. It's right off to the side on a raised and lower desk so that I can stand to work, because sitting is not something I enjoy doing. But you look at a lot of these variety of different ways we've kind of peeled and piecemealed and parted this back together. It's functional for me, and what functions for me does not function for somebody else. My processes and methodologies to get some of this stuff accomplished, while to some person may say that is just complete and utter garbage, well, it got me to where I am. So, content creation or design or, the revamp iteration, like off to my side, I have some prototypes of some products that I'm glad I didn't launch them. I should have launched them. I didn't, but I'm glad I didn't launch them because there was some refinement that needed to be done. And if I can make those back to working, 3D printing has its place, but 3D printing takes a lot of time. Laser cutting has its place and takes a lot less time, but you make up for that where you have to assemble, build, glue, things like that. Well, for bigger structures, for bigger components that are not as three-dimensionally interesting, I think I can meld these concepts together like a three-dimensional item melded with a laser cut item. And I think that's where my brain enjoys the problem, the solve, the fix, which is why, even though I haven't released a lot of the data, I did some videos on it, but like some of the flesh and blood, trying to guess where they might be going for the class versus equipment, right? I guess since I have the spreadsheet pulled up here on the screen, I might as well go into this, right? There's now with this new set, you have chaos. It's a whole new talent. Well, there's nothing that exists for that. So the slate's wide open. They could have anything. They may or may not even have a specific type of item that goes in a class. But if you look as an example at like ninja or, I'm going to pick on ninja. So like going into ninja, you still don't have a legendary legs that I remember. They might have changed that. I think I need to update this a little bit more. But like even with like chess pieces, there's a certain, and maybe legendary doesn't need to happen for everyone. But when you look at talents, draconic and royal, I have them on my list here, and there really is just nothing as far as like what is already out there for class specific. I mean, there's a Crown of Dominion. Yeah. Which is a generic headpiece that gives you royal, but it's not a royal anything. There are no royal pieces of equipment. If I can type Draconic, draconic. And when you look at draconic, there are no pieces of equipment outside of flame scale furnace, which is a chest. And the rest of this, as I scroll through as quickly as possible, it's just that one chest piece. Now, Royal Draconic Warrior Wizard. That's the Emperor. So there is just a huge unknown. I couldn't even speculate what they would be able to create, because if none of these talented areas exist in the head, legs, chest, arms, there is one chest for Draconic. But maybe there's a royal chest now, which also means that if there's a royal chest, I'd said this and I think the answer is no, but you can't equip the generic thing to give you royal to put royal cards in your deck, because if you don't apply it right, your deck becomes invalid. That whole argument to try to get a deck to be valid would not work, which, is what it is, I guess. But yeah, it's man, there's so many things. Circling back on the personal stuff, because I fell back into flesh and blood there. I'm going to continue to go back, and I know I made my video about a year ago. It was my New Year's resolution for last year. And I guess I'm going to do an early one this year, as in I'm going to start kind of prepping my resolution. And my resolution was to try to release content. And I think honestly, if I look back at a year in review, I believe I made that goal. I do not want to say that I was perfect. I had a little bit of lapses here and there, but I think switching, it'll be coming up. If this is number 25, number 26 is a half year. Because now I did math right? Because Logan was on 24 and not 26, because that was what my original goal was, to celebrate the half year with him. But 20, 25 being here, 26, I think actually, if I understand right, well, hopefully, it'll be me and Ashwing or Alex, right? Because that'll be this upcoming Thursday, if I can manage to ask him politely to join that. But that'll be a half year of me doing this. So for the first half of the year, I was releasing videos and doing stuff, and then for the second half of the year, I went to more of a podcast mentality. And I've noticed that reducing the stress level of saying I have to edit the latest news and get it out right then and try to get those clicks and views right that second really helped a lot with my stress level, because I am not big enough to warrant the editing time team to make that happen. I am still creating ancillary videos on the products when they release. So like when Carl, Harl, Barl, Carl, Darl, Harl. Yeah, so fun, side tangent. I am going to make a video on the Jarl deck. I got to go pick that up, like I said, once I find out where that is. In the D&D campaign, we have a whole crew, and the crew names are like all like they all rhyme. Like Jarl, I think it's Barl, Carl, Harl, Marl, Darl, Boral. Oh, it's Boral. Boral, Toral, Laurel, Moral, Oral. Like it was this funny, like it's been this trope, and apparently it's because one of the D&D rolls was like we rolled the lowest cost to get them, but like somehow like a nat 20 on like their proficiency and like ability to do stuff. So like while they were the most ridiculously cheap undernamed crew, they were like the absolute most efficient proficient people ever. And that was kind of a pretty crazy thing. So kind of circling back on my to-do list here, right? I got all those videos for Gen Con, starting up the Geek Speak there, and it's funny to be able to go back and say, wow, it was 5 months ago. So like the very first one that came out, it might start auto playing in the background. I'm gonna have to stop this possibly. Far too much. Ashen Wing was correct. It says 5 months ago on June 24th. So June 24th, July, August, September, October, November, December 24th, technically it would be 6 months. So I might have released one too many in the middle there, but irregardless, I released 20, it'll be 26. So I have to figure that math out. I don't know. I must have got ahead of myself. So I may be higher numbered and whatever. Gosh, this is trying to keep a thing. Well, no, June 24th would have been. See, this is odd. So June 24th. So if that's the 26th, I'd be 2 weeks early from a physical year. Actually, I don't know. See, I got to do some math at some point now to figure that out. But yeah, before that, I mean, I got a bunch of videos here, Transcendent spoilers. So I talked about a little bit of Star Wars Unlimited. I mean, that was my best video. Yeah, I think the craziest thing is if I go back and I sort by most popular videos, one of my most popular videos ever, aside from the heavy hitter Blitz decks have a secret, which is where you mash the two classes together and create a free CC deck, which really is right at the cusp of when these other decks kind of came out. So that was 10 months ago. But 8 months ago, I did the Star Wars video, and that got 3,500 views. And for me, a channel of my size, I was very happy with that, right? I mean, my best video is 6,000 views 2 years ago. Then I have a 3,000 view 2 years ago where I was opening History Pack 1, and that was a pretty fun experience there, but looking at my new thumbnails compared to my old thumbnails, right? I have that really old thumbnail, and the rest of my stuff has been doing decent, right? right at about maybe 1,000 views on some of these, and then the podcasts are significantly less, right? Like I don't expect people to do that. But even my new player guide, which I spent a boat ton of time on, I'm talking like hours of scripting, hours of post editing, hours of graphics creation. It's got 557 views. It was in my Jarl deck is only 400 views. Those were about a month ago. Just crazy. Crazy what the algorithm dictates is the best thing. And I'm at the whim of that algorithm. And, you know, like I said, there's some folks that one content creator here, again, excellent. Very, very top notch. Almost 1,500 subs now. Almost 4,000 or 5,000. 5,000 views on that video. 4,500, 4,500, 3,000. And only has 4 videos. And just unreal how the metrics can be so different between different verticals. You know, I listen to some PokeTubers that just have very little views, but their ideas. I mean, there's one guy, Uncle something or other. Uncle is. I have to go look at. Maybe I can find his video. I do want to shout this. This would be a great guy to get on for like a podcast because he just seems like he's. What the heck? What the heck is that? I see. That's what the problem with clicking around on YouTube when I'm making a video is. It's gonna try to put the audio from that out my mic, and I don't want to do it. There's a guy. He has such an interesting personality. I immediately clicked with it too. Like there's another content creator as an example I was kind of mad at because I had a semi bad experience at an event I saw them at, but it was because they were trying to get a shot and I was trying to get a shot, and you know what? And that's water under the bridge. I'm not mad about it anymore. I've reassessed my reasons for being mad, and it's just not worth it. And honestly, he's doing fantastic, right? His channel is blowing up. He's doing great, and I'm ecstatic that he is actually doing well. He has about the same number of videos as me. He has surpassed the 1K mark, so congrats to you. Doing excellent, and it's cool to see how. I mean, even he was stating that he had one video that just blew up like mad, right? It hooked that algorithm and just went boom, 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 and became this phenomenal thing for his channel and channel growth. So you kind of roll the dice a little bit. Oh yeah, this guy. I'm gonna reach out to him. So I won't give his name just yet. I'm gonna see if maybe he's willing to do a podcast talk at some point because he just seems like such a interesting character. I appreciate a lot of his thoughts, especially since he sells on a lot of different platforms. He's kind of a smaller channel. Honestly, I think he just surpassed me in subscribers. Yeah, you think he did? He did. Congrats, dude. You're doing good. How many videos has he got? 56 videos. They're averaging, that's 800, 200, 400, 1,600, 4,000. Holy moly. Oh, yeah. See, I don't say clickbaity titles, but look at that. It was a Star Wars. Remember I said my Star Wars Unlimited video did really well? Well, this Star Wars Unlimited video he did got an absorbently larger amount of views than the rest of his stuff. And just like, other popular games he's talked about, it's amazing. Wow, that one has 12,000 views. Holy crap, dude. You're knocking it out of the park, man. You're doing great. For a video with your subscriber count, what you got to have that many videos in those categories, dude, that's impressive. This is just me trying to, analytically look at stuff, right? It's, I don't know. Is anybody even going to listen to this? I think that's the funny thing, right? Like somebody sometime will listen to this in the future. That's why everything you say is on the internet forever, right? And you gotta be happy and know that, one day you won't be there and that'll still be there. Actually, an experiment I need to figure out, like, what happens to a YouTube channel if their YouTube account or if the Gmail account gets deleted because like they haven't logged in. I wonder if the YouTube videos stay or if they get like marked as inactive and deleted from YouTube. Yeah, that's an interesting experiment. That'd be a 2 year long experiment. Back on a Rudy thing, he did mention there'll be more Gym Keeper stuff coming, which I don't want to say that he only mentioned it because I asked him, but I did recently have a conversation where I was trying to ask for more information about how the Gym Keeper stuff was going to work going forward, because I would like to complete that set. I mean, I did spend a decent amount of money on the original Gym Keeper privileges, rights, whatever. I don't know, whatever those were going to be, the dividend thing that he did. Went back and started finding all that, and he's right. There's not a lot of those people out there, and I'd be real curious to know how many of those people have left. Right, you're getting to a point now where some of the OG original ones that probably bought that are definitely still Patreons, but his Patreon's a one-way street. If you leave, you're gone. You can't come back. So I don't know if he's going to only offer these to the Gym Keepers directly, or if it's going to be something where he allows anybody to buy. I think that's what happened last time, is the diamond just came with, when you bought it, you got it. But I'd be curious to know if there's going to be any restrictions or benefits for being the old Gym Keeper status. But yeah, I think I'm gonna start wrapping this down. Not that I want to make this excruciatingly long, but I could go on rambling about a variety of different things. I mean, I feel like, I should just start documenting random things and uploading it, but some of it's so unrelated that it'd just be like Jake's life tips, just things that are interesting. There's also a part of me that's kind of like looking at some of this stuff and saying, back to the algorithm thing, right? The algorithm pleaser. If you don't please that algorithm and do exactly what it wants, then it'll rip you to shreds, man. It'll make you not a happy camper. And yeah, I admit that I'm not the best at keeping up with that stuff. But that's not the point. The point is to have fun, and I am having a blast. So that is why I'm going to keep doing these, even if it has to be solo, right? I don't know if I'm going to be able to continue to ask people to come on. Scheduling is complicated, so reached out to a couple of folks, some that even Logan suggested. I'm going to see if I can grab some of those folks to jump in over the next month or two. So it may be a sporadic guest appearance kind of a thing. I may have me for some, those for others, and we're just going to continue to strive to improve the process. I'm going to learn as I go forward. Try my best to figure out how to be a better podcaster, I guess, because that is a talent, just like live streaming. Riddler, calling him out, he's real good at live streaming. He's real good at acknowledging the audience, taking the questions, actually driving that interaction, right? It's a different skill set. It's something that's not, it's learnable, but it's different than making a highly edited video. It's like somebody made the joke that Rudy made an edited video the other day and the sky was falling, because Rudy doesn't make edited videos. He just goes, folks, and then talks to the camera, right? So that's what he does. DM Armada, same thing. Like, he does some editing to his videos, probably quite a bit more than I actually recognize, but he definitely has a very similar intro a lot of the time, where his face kind of pans in and then talks about the stuff to the right or left. So, those kind of things. Sloop, on the other hand, his videos, it could be one day it's one thing and one day it's the other, because he does a large lift of editing. And that's a lot of time, effort, and energy, So those are just some examples of when you look at other creations and content, how it all works, right? Could be different software. People are moving to DaVinci hand over fist. I need to learn DaVinci, and I've been dragging my feet back to the 80%, 90% rule, right? I'm 90% proficient in Premiere, but I'm paying for that. But if I were to learn Resolve, I wouldn't have to pay for that, and I could theoretically do other stuff. But there's then the question of Photoshop and this Illustrator, Adobe Audition. There's a bunch of other things that, like, the reality is you kind of want those things, but you don't really need those things. I kind of need them because I do a lot of stuff, just like AutoCAD, right? AutoCAD, Fusion 360, Microsoft Office, all these damn products anymore. They're all fucking subscriptions, and you gotta pay for the subscription. And if you use it once a blue moon, it's horrible. So I gotta focus. I gotta focus in. I gotta do my thing. Oh my gosh, I am yawning at the end of this. I don't know why I'm yawning. I shouldn't be yawning. But apparently I am hungry. So my next thing I'm going to need to do is go ahead and figure out a way to satisfy the hunger inside of my belly and say fantastic day. So, thank you again. Look, if you made it to this point in this video, I really would love for you to put a comment in the comment section below. And I would say that for those people that put a comment in the comment section below that has the keyword Everfest, I will, for you, that loyal person who has made it to that point, the first person that does that, I will work with the better half to get you a custom D20 shipped to you. Hopefully, with I'm gonna limit this not to the United States. I guess I'm gonna have to. United States and Canada, maybe. Shipping internationally is just very, 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 very complicated. But I would be very, very grateful for you listening this long, and honestly, for doing that, I think I'd be willing to give you some. So I'll work with you to get a custom dice of what color, shape, and whatever. And yeah, I love her dice. I really do. They make everything so much more fun. I think we're going to start doing counters and tokens and stuff now that we got resin printer, which is a whole nother, again, that's a whole learning thing in and of itself, right? But if I can do some 3-dimensional design like Blender, After Effects, stuff like that, or not After Effects, probably Blender or Maya, whatever. Again, so many programs, so many things to learn. Oh my God. So if I can learn one of these programs, then I'll be able to design things, which means I can make cool tokens, which means I could release some cool things to hopefully give out to people when I see them, or assist in your gameplay. So yeah. All right. Well, enough's enough. I guess I'm going to go ahead and just start wrapping this thing down, like I said, and we're going to jump out of here. So again, thanks for listening. Seriously, like, share, subscribe, hit that bell, do all those things that you typically would be requested to do. And I am on the road to 600. I would love to get to 600 by the end of the year. That would be a fantastic place for me to be. If I get there, great. If I don't, great. I think that my goal of 1,000 was probably a little too over aggressive, but then again, the algorithm gods chooseth how this works, and the number is just a number. It does not mean as much, but to certain people that number does mean something. So for every time that I see somebody watch my video, my heartfelt thanks goes out. Every time I see a comment come through, again, my heartfelt thanks goes out, because watching the interactions, even if it's just one person, I think does make it worth it. It's fun. I mean, somebody asked a question the other day. I answered it, and hopefully my answer was useful for them. So, all right. Cheers. Until next time, may your games be fun and your friendships grow. Bye-bye. Cheers. Ta-ta. See ya. Peace.